All right, I want to illustrate how you can use ChatGPT or just generative AI tools for research. And and right now I'm using ChatGPT's talk to text feature. So I need help in creating. I want to learn about cooperative enterprises. So can we walk through just learning about cooperative enterprises? And so it transcribes it and it puts this out there. But I actually don't. I mean, I want to show the difference between ChatGPT also and Claude and how the two different models approach just some of the nuance in learning. And so this gave me a full detail of it. But I like to also just, that's Perplexity, and then here's Claude. And so I like to also just put it in Claude to be able to, because Claude gives like a different kind of nuance. As you can see, it just, and you'll look at ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT gives me a breakdown of what is a cooperative enterprise, key ventures. It's almost like a blog post, right? Like it's totally mapped out. It's really clean, right? How do you start it? Like this gives you a really, really good idea of if you wanted a high level overview. And then if you just look at like Claude, it gives aspects. You know, these are the key aspects. How do you want to do it? How do you want to get more specific? And so you would have a good overview here, and then you can go in Perplexity and say, I think this is where you need, or what is your research topic? So we're probably not here yet. You may go back inside of ChatGPT, and I like to use the talk to text as you could normally type it, but I like to say it. And okay, what are some literature research that I can do? Like I want to compile, some spaces, or where should I directionally go to learn about just cooperative enterprises, or the difference between cooperatives and business. And so I like to copy it, and then I get ChatGPT's, and then I also like to see what Claude says. I just like to see, and I want people to see just how different. Okay, so books, Understanding Cooperative Law, Collective Courage, academic journals, right? How to use these resources. And so that's pretty good. And if you come back, Claude also gives books, Collective Courage, The Cooperative Way, What Do We Really Know? And so you can also look at Perplexity and say, reading list for cooperatives. And then you could change the focus and say, let me just get academic. And so I could have sworn I did academic. I don't know how Reddit came up as a source. But as you can see, Collective Courage is very, very. So then you have this, and typically this would cite. I must have searched it differently to where it didn't cite it, but it gives you an entire list of it. And so I want to just, I guess, not put academic. Let's just do all. It said overview of cooperative enterprise. And so this is just searching. And I think that like these tools, we talk about these tools from like an automated perspective, and I don't think we should be, yes, if I can give a lot of reasons as to why this is bad, well, this will turn out bad. But I look at it and say, man, if we can deploy this in a really responsible, in a really access and equitable, but that's like depending on us to do the right thing. And for some reason I don't. So it has the sources, right? 10 facts. This is where it's sourcing all its information from. And what's really cool about this is that if you copy it, right, and I use Notion. This is just really getting some real insight into my whole workflow, right? Like I use, I'm just trying to get, okay, so that's the, okay. So if we say in Notion, and then I just, let's say we in generative AI. It's like, this is my like AI Bible, and I will put, what is this? We're talking about cooperative. So actually, I will put this in, I probably shouldn't put this here, but. And so co-ops, and then if you like paste it in there, right? Like you can get all the citations, all the websites, right? Here's an overview, and then here's everything cited. And so that's inside of your Notion. So cooperatives, right? And then I think that if you go back to ChatGPT and you say, what is cooperatives? And let's say we just take that out and we paste it in. Right? And then you can just clean it up. What is a cooperative enterprise? And so what happens is then you get people who would just post this. They would post this as a blog post and try to draw traffic. And so I don't think that we're moving into a world where these kind of blogs are going to be necessary anymore. And so what's going to happen, I think, is that you'll need people who want just a more engaging form of content. They want to circulate. There should be more sharing of ideas, right? You can ask more nuanced questions now. Like now we all got access. Like you can just look up cooperatives and now you know. But the real talent is going to be in, how do we use cooperatives to make more inclusive economies? Like what would it look like to take cooperative enterprising principles and overlay that onto the dominant economic system that exists in America? That's just a much more nuanced question, right? And like that's a big question. And breaking that down on like, well, where would you begin on starting to uncover on this kind of topic, right? How would you begin to brainstorm? And so we all know, okay, baseline, what cooperatives are, but then let's start to totally see how we can enter. This is a really long answer from ChatGPT, and so you might say in some cases, don't make your answer longer than X amount of paragraphs, right? But this is an extremely, nuanced way of thinking about it. Okay, principles of cooperatives for inclusive economies, democratic participation, economic participation, education and training. And so you get this overview, and this is where I really want you to see the difference between Claude and ChatGPT, because I think right now it's just, they would ask different questions. So this is Claude. And Claude is going to, and here's, this is great, case studies, articles. But so look at this: increasing worker ownership, promoting community ownership, democratizing financing, prioritizing social and environmental goals, fostering collaboration and solidarity. And so for me as a person who works within the cooperative development space, and we talk about inclusive economy a lot, like I know that this reinforces some of the ideologies that exist around us and how we will. And so what you got to challenge yourself with is to say, well, what is the counter argument against this? What is the ideas or differing opinions, and where would how might we find compromise? And so that you might have just waited for how might we find compromise as the second follow up, but and so and you have a full, like, completely nuanced answer. And so now we get into, okay, now what is the and so then we get into, well, what is the interdisciplinary research, like what are the different disciplines that I need to learn about in order to be able to be more informed, and to be able to speak more intelligently on this topic. And so it says, like, all right, like, what are the things that I should talk about? Economics, business management, sociology, political science, law, environmental studies. And so I think that this is really, really incredibly powerful, that as just an exercise in thought, let me see how I do it. Practical steps to integrate these disciplines. And so if you're a trainer, if you're a person like myself who's like, okay, how can I introduce this? What are my entry points? And how do I develop this? And so you could start with, well, what are the economics of cooperative businesses? From a management structure, how does cooperative, from a sociology, like, so you can, now this allows you to just pick. And so you could develop content for this and the content in it. And then at the end, it would be a comprehensive, but I just think this is an unbelievable standpoint for learning, and I should just to put this, because I like to just put them different. And like, here's some ideas, and to gain a comprehensive understanding. Economics. And this is even, giving a more detailed economics and the collective action, behavioral economics, and political economics. Understand how cooperatives fit into different economic systems and where the impact on economic development, wealth distribution. Like, this is great. Like, this directionally. And so here's where you say, how cooperatives fit into here. And you copy this. And you put this into Perplexity. Right? And you want academic, and you search. It's a great question. And so you can go back and you say, what else? Sociology, explore the social aspect of cooperatives, including how they foster community building, social capital, and collective identity. This is great. Like, this could be another one. And so we go back, and like, what I'm really getting at is just the speed in which you can just think and gather, right? Like, I'm doing this. This is building out ideas for me. Interdisciplinary research on cooperative businesses, and then, okay, let me get some scholarly articles around it, right? Here's some, and then it's citing it. Cooperatives create jobs, generate wages. Then it says, okay, that's research, electric cooperatives, wealth distribution. And so these citations are where it's coming from. And so this right here, just completely. And then again, if you want to copy, and then you put this into your Notion. And so you have, like, research, you're compiling. And so when you come back and you say, all right, like, how can I start to organize this? Where do I want to begin? How do I want to create curriculum? How do I build workshops? Right? How do I educate myself? How do I get up to speed much faster? And so, like, I just think that right now, like, this what I've just searched could be foundations for someone wanting to learn, like, taking a deep dive in cooperatives. Like, someone who has no idea what cooperatives are, these 3 links. I could share this as a link, share this as a link, and then we could share our ChatGPT link. And then that becomes just some foundations. Here's some readings, like, here you go. And a Google search it's just different. And so That's this was just a live exercise of just research and in 15 minutes, a cooperative dissertation in 15 minutes.